everybody, it's Christina from Creations with Christina, and welcome back to another Silhouette Cameo series video. Today we're going to be making two cards. Both cards are going to be using the same two images that I'm going to show you right now. I'm using, we'll go head over to my library here and I'll show you which two images we're using. Up in the top here you could do a search. I'm just searching for Spider. And these are all the images that I have in my collection that has a spider or spider web in it. The first image I'm using is this one right here, and the second one is this spider over here. I already have them selected onto my mat area. So the first thing I did was I created a card base of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. This is just a template that I'm using. And I'm just going to slide it over here to the center. And what I did was I took the first spider web and stretched that out as large as I wanted it to be. And basically what I'm doing with this one is I want the center of my spider web to be in the upper right hand corner, and then it'll just kind of cascade down to the left hand side. So I stretched this out to be about what I want it to be, which is roughly about 7 1/2 inches. So I'm going to just put this right down in the bottom here. And with that, I stretched out or took the spider that I showed you earlier. And that one, what I did was I knew I wanted that to be right in the center of my spider web. And I did the same thing with this one. I just stretched it out to where I thought it would, look appropriate with my spider web. One thing I did do with this was I ungrouped it and deleted the eyes that will cut out on my spider, because I'm going to be using googly eyes for that one. Now that's for one card. My second card is again 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. This one I'm going to put a 2-inch strip of paper down the bottom. So I created a second box that shows my area where that piece of paper is going to be. And then I took my spider web and I stretched that to where I want it to be. This one, again, coming from sort of the upper right hand corner, will cascade over to the left. And I also cut a spider that is roughly appropriate to the size that I want it to be. So you can either delete your templates. I'm just going to move these off to the side because I'm not going to cut those. So you just click them and drag them over. As long as they're not on the white part of your mat, they won't cut. So now I have all of these images ready. I'll go ahead and start cutting these out on some black textured American Crafts cardstock. And I will put a link to these two images with the item number from the Silhouette Store's website that has which two images these are. And they'll be in the bottom of this video or over on my blog if you want to check them out. And okay, so I'm going to cut these out and I'll meet you back at my workspace and we'll start putting our card together. Okay, so I have my spider webs and spiders cut out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my spider webs aside for a second, and I'm going to take a piece of scratch paper here, and this is just regular photocopy paper, and I'm going to fold it in half. I'm going to do a little bit of glittering on my spiders. I'm going to make them nice and sparkly. So I'm going to use my Zig 2-way glue pen and add the glitter or the glue to this. Okay, so I'm just going to use some of my Martha Stewart glitter here. Just going to pour that on my spider, and then I'll just use my finger to really get it on there good. Okay, so I have my bigger one, nice and glittered. I'm going to go ahead and do my smaller one now. I'm going to grab an extra piece of paper to glue on, and then I'll use this one for just the glitter. So I'm just going to push that to the side, and then again I'll add my 2-way glue to this. Okay, so there's my little spider. So I'm just going to go ahead and set these aside to dry, and I'll clean up this mess and we'll be right back and we'll start putting our card together. Okay, so I pulled out a piece of 8 1/2 by 11 American Crafts textured cardstock. I'm going to cut this down so I can make two cards, and I'm going to cut it at 4 1/4 on the 8 1/2 inch side. And then I will, for my first card, take my score buddy. I'll set my other one aside. I'll take my score buddy and score that at 5 1/2. And then my pattern paper today comes from the October Afternoon Witch Hazel paper collection. This is the 8x8 pad. And I love the papers in this. Super cute Halloween papers. So I'm going to take this piece right here that I cut down to 4 inches by 5 1/4, and I'm going to use that for the front of my card. But before I do that, I'm going to take my larger spider web, and this one is actually going to get adhered, so my center of my spider web is right up in the top corner here, and then I'll adhere that down. So I'm just going to take, I'm going to try out this plus glue tape. I've used it a couple of times for other things, but I want to see how it works on adding adhesive to these smaller pieces. So I'm just going to run this on a couple different sections, see how it works. Okay, so I ended up using my Zig 2A glue pen for this because it just wasn't working out very well. So I'm going to go ahead now and adhere this down onto my piece of pattern paper. And I just need to add a little bit more adhesive on this side here. There we go. And now I will take my scissors and trim off those pieces that are hanging off. Okay, so I trimmed all my pieces off of that. What I'm going to do next is use my We Are Memory Keepers corner chopper, and I'm just using the 1/4 inch side and trimming those off. And I just forgot 2 little edges here of my spider web, so I'm just going to trim those. Okay, so that's that piece. The next thing I want to do is I have some little googly eyes here, some wiggle eyes, and I just need to, there we go, and I'm going to add those to my one spider that I was working on, my first bigger one we're going to use. And for this I'm going to use my glossy accents to adhere the eyes down. Of course, they're sticking to my finger more than they are the glitter. Some dimensional adhesive, and I have some of this. This is by Scrapbook Adhesives, and they're just very tiny 1/4 inch thick pop dots, and they're black, so I thought that'd be perfect for putting in the back of my image so that you can't see them. And as I'm doing this, one of the eyes has fallen off. I'll have to put that one back on. So I'm going to peel the backs off and then just adhere this down. I have more glitter on me by the end of this than my spider. So I'm going to stick my spider right in the center of the spider web, and then I'll adhere his eye back down. Okay, so they're going to take a couple seconds to dry. I'll try not to touch them again so they don't pop off. Okay, so I'm going to take this little tab right here that you can get in the one of the little accessories for the kit. And this one says Treats. And I'm going to take one of the brads from the collection. And I think I'll use the one with the spider web if it's not too big. No, it should be okay. And I'm going to then poke a hole. I have a foam mat behind. I'm just going to poke a hole here and then add my brad. So that's adhered on there. And then since my googly eyes are still drying, I am going to use my ATG gun here and adhere this part first before I instead of the back. This way my googly eyes won't fall off again while they're drying. So I have the right end. I'm going to adhere this down to the center of my card. And then I'll round the corners of this one as well. And that'll be our first card using those two shapes from the silhouette. Okay. And now let's go ahead and I'm going to clear this off and we'll start making our second card. Okay, let's get started with our second card. We're going to be making another 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch card. So I already have my cardstock trimmed down. I have a piece of the same pattern paper that I used on my first card. This one measures 5 inches, or 5 1/4 inches by 4 inches. And then I have another piece of pattern paper from the Witch Hazel collection, which measures 2 inches and a little bit bigger than 4 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and start off doing some stamping with this one. I'm going to use this Martha Stewart stamp set. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere this to a acrylic block. And we're going to use some Versamark. And we're going to stamp our Happy Halloween right at the bottom. And then I'm going to use white embossing powder. And then I will go ahead and heat set this. Okay, so I finished embossing this piece, and I'm ready to adhere that down to the bottom of my larger piece of pattern paper. So I'm just lining that up at the bottom. And I'll adhere that down. And since I cut this a little bit larger than my back piece, I'm just going to go ahead and trim it off. I like to do that just so I know that I didn't cut it too short or anything like that. So, alright. Now I have a piece of this black stitched ribbon. I'm going to put that right across the front. But before I do that, I'm also going to I'm going to start putting down my other spider web. This is my smaller one. So again, I'll use my glue pen to add the adhesive to the back of that. And now I'm going to go ahead and add my piece of ribbon that I set aside here. So I'm just going to put that right across the front of the card, and I'm just going to use some tape to adhere that down. And then this will get adhered to the front of my card base. And then I'm going to take in a dimensional adhesive, I'm going to set that right in the center of my spider web. And then I already added the googly eyes to this spider, which will go right in the center. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I have another piece of ribbon, and I'm just going to tie this on with a little knot. I'll trim the ends of this. And that will be my second card. So that's 2 cards made with the same silhouette cut file, just in different sizes. Thanks for watching another episode, and I will see you next time.